ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. Last class we have discussed with the different session storage, right? So in the different session storage, how the load can be divided into the different web servers. So in this example, it is in a load balancer. So this load balancer, if it is taken user X, user Y, and as well as the user Z, three different users, it will going to give the request to the different web servers. Okay, in turn, these are the four different web server which is connected to the shared session server. In this shared session server, it contains a database. Okay, so for example, user X as requesting some request to the server and user Y is requesting some other request. Okay, so these are the different requests which is given by the load balancer to the different server. Okay, and these are in turn which is connected to the shared session server. Okay, so this is we have studied in the last class. So and also we have started the HTML web storage. So in that HTML web storage, we have seen that how we are going to write the code into the web storage. So in the writing a code into the web storage, we have started with the form tag. So in the form tag, we have included the header format and as well as the scripting language. In that first, we are going to check the condition is that either the local storage or the session storage. So these local storage and the session storage, these are the two types of the storages, right? So if it is in a local storage, it is for saving the information and that it will persist between the browser session. Whatever the information you have stored or you have saved, so that information will be persist throughout the browser session. So if it is in a session storage, so it is the information that it will be lost once the browser session is going to be finished. So once the session has been completed, then the contained information, whatever the data or what is the complete information which is present, it can be timeout or it can be deleted. So we have checked here local storage and as well as the session storage. These two different storages is an undefined. If it is an undefined, then the by default it will going to give you the alert message that it is not supporting the browser. If these two different storages it is not able to defining the any of the function, then it will give you the alert message. Okay, so that alert message, its storage, it is not supported in the web browser. And again we have to store that particular data. Like here I had to new the data, so I know that what is the data, so then I can call it is by using the session storage and as well as the local storage. By using two different storages, here I am getting the new date, that new date and the today's date. Okay, so that two different things it can be going to set the item. So these date it can be set it into the item and it will be stored in the session storage. And next, if I want to store the artist name, okay, that is the name of the artist we have taken as an artist. This artist name we have taken and it is stored in the session storage. And again the username is a Ricardo. Okay, so that username I am storing in the local storage. So if these two things which I am done the modification, and I can store and I can write it in the by using the format like document dot write. Okay, so document dot write, we have written that web storage has been modified. Like we have condition has been checked and the message which is taken by that, and again we have done the modification. Okay, so in this manner how we are going to write the storage, like writing the web storage. And one more thing, it is like reading the web storage. Okay, so in this only the difference between the writing into the web storage and reading into the web storage. Here if you want to read in the web storage, you have to take or you have to declare the variable. How you are going to declaring the variable? The name of the variable you have taken as a today and one more name you have taken as a artist. Okay, so here which is equals to session storage dot get item. So the today's date it can be given by using the value get item. Next, if I need to store the username, again I also initialized one more variable, that is name has given as a user. And if you want to write, if you want to get the output by using the document dot write. In this document dot write, how we are going to write the input, like by using the today is the one thing, that is by using it is already initialized here, and next is the artist, and next is the user. If you want to write into the artist, how you are going to write into the artist, that is a favorite artist name and followed by the name of the user. Okay, so this is the manner how you are going to reading the web storage. So here you have get the question like explain that how you are going to write the data into the web storage and how you are going to reading the data from the web storage. So there you have to write these two different programs and you have to explain it. Okay, so this why should we use that web storage, so we have discussed it yesterday. So in this diagram, if you look into this here, the user request the page php. So here user is present here, that user x, let me take he has a user x. Okay, so he has requesting some of the page, like something page, the new different page he is requesting by the user. So if that the page is requesting by the user to the server, that markup language whatever the user has requesting, it can be retrieved from the flickr, so the web service javascript. Okay, so this is the server here. So this server, what is the working of this server here? So here it will going to catch the request, what is the request which is given by the user, and the process will happen here. And if the data, it can be stored in the database, so that the data which is related to the request given by the user, it can be stored in the database. So in this database, by executing the database, so it will going to uses that request the related page. So for example, is the user one is requesting the gmail.com. okay, so that request it has sent to the server. So what the server will do, so the server it will check into this database and corresponding the request, like what is the user has given, like gmail.com, so that corresponding the gmail.com, it can be given by a new page into the user. Okay, so now the new page has been opened. So now again the xml retrieved from the browser web storage. So again if the other user, again he may request to execute the some other pages, again in the same manner the user will going to give the request to the web server. So the web server in turn it will execute by checking the database content, if the content which is required to execute the user, if it is present in the corresponding page, the corresponding new page which can be opened. Okay, so this is how the web storage and accessing the information by using the url. So the next topic is the caching. So in this, why the caching is necessary, so it is one of the way it is to improve the performance of the web application. So now whatever the developer who is developing the web pages, so it is one of the improve, or if you want to improve the performance, or if you want to increase the performance of the web application, so you have to use this performance. If your browser it uses the caching, it is to speed up the user experience by using the stored versions of the images and other files rather than requesting the file from the server. So here whatever, if for example if you are the user, you have already used some of the web pages, and if you have already saved or if you have already stored particular web pages, like caching, here caching it is used to store the information. So how it is going to improve the performance, like once again if you want to visit to the same page, if you want to visit to the same site, then it is not that much of difficulty to get access from there, because already you have user and already you have done the in the history part, or if you have done the bookmark, then you can easily access that, right? So there it is to increase the browser users, and the cache it will going to speed up the user experience. You no need to wait, there is no any wastage of the time which will be taken by the user, because already it is present in the caching, the user can easily access the content. So next, the server side development had the limited control over the cache. So here we have looked into the client side development and as well as the server side development. So in the server side development, the limited control over the browser caching. So the complete storage, like whatever the user has searched and whatever the things he has accepted, so the complete information, the complete data, it can be stored in the browser side. Why is this necessary? Why we are requiring the cache? Is it caching is a necessary process in the PHP? Yes, because every time when you are executing the PHP page, if you are requesting, it must be fetched and it must be executed by the PHP engine, and then it results in the HTML, and again that sent back to the requester. So if you are not using this concept like catching, if every time when you are going to execute the PHP code, each and every time you have to do the requesting, and it must be fetch whatever the request which is given by the client side, it has to be fetched and it has to be executed by the PHP engine. And then once it has been executed, then the result in that HTML, that is again sent back to the request. So to avoid or to reduce this whatever all the process to execute the PHP code, we have requiring the cache concept. So on the way to address this problem is to catch the generated markup in the server memory, so that the subsequent request can be served from the memory rather than from the executing the page. So if you have already visited the page, rather than executing that same page repeatedly, if you are bookmarked, if you are already saved in your system, then it is easy for you to access the data. If it is already in the server memory, if it is already present in the memory, then you can easily access the thing. There are two basic strategies to catching the web application. Here we are going to see the two different web applications catching. One is the page output catching and second one is the application data catching. So what is the difference between this page output catching and the application data catching? If in case of this page output catching, it saves the output of a page or the user controller and reuses the output instead of reprocessing the page. What is the one advantage if you are using these two different basic strategies in case of the catching web application? In this page output catching, it saves the output of a page, whatever the page which is used by the user, it can be saved, or the user control and reuses the output. So previously whatever the output which is executed by the user, it can be reuses the output instead of reprocessing the page. Instead of executing the page once again, if you want to execute the page once again the operating system has to call the application, call the system call, again it will take the more amount of time and as well as the CPU utilization. So in case of executing, doing the all such things, it is better easy to reuse the output. Whatever the output you have already taken, that it can be reusable, that it can be reuses the output instead of reprocessing the page. Instead of executing the page once again, you can use the page which is already available. So when the user will going to request the page again, so if the user is executing the page, if the same user he want to execute the same page in some way, so he can easily take the output instead of again recreating the thing. That is one basic approach that is known as a page output catching. If in case in the application data catching, it allows the developer to programmatically catch the data. So if it is application data catching, in that it allows the developer programmatically whatever the data which is executed, it can be catched by the programmatically. So this is how the page output catching will take place. So look into this diagram here. Here there will be a get method is used here. Okay, so the two different methods, like either a get method or the post method. So in this example, to do the page output catching, so to do the page output catching, it is like to output instead of reprocessing. That is what the previous output has to be reprocessing instead of executing once again. How I'm going to execute by using this diagram, like here three different users. Okay, so the user has using the method like the get method. So get method, so was the user has requesting here, so he is requesting the PHP code, that which is requesting to the server side. Okay, so that server side is that cache index.php recent enough. So is that index.php is a one of the page which is created and which is used by this user. So now this index.php which is requesting to the server here we are going to check the condition. What is the condition we have checking here? Is the cache index.php, like these index.php code is recently enough or not, like is it recently used by the user or not. If the condition is yes, then you move to here. If the condition is false, then you can going to execute this thing. If the condition is yes, then retrieve the markup for the index dot page php from the disk cache. Like it is in a disk cache, like whatever the user has executed, that thing it can be stored in the secondary storage device. If it is stored in the secondary storage devices, the thing is available, the condition is true, then you have to retrieve the php from the disk. Here you have retrieving the code from this php. Okay, so then you are retrieving that, and this can be markup whatever the data information you have retrieved from, so that it can be sent back to the browser. Like it will going to send back to the browser, enter it is received by the three different user. Here no need that user has to create, or no need that user has to reproduce the same index.php once again, because it is already or recently which is used by the three different user. Okay, so this is the condition will execute only when if it is true. If that is the cache index.php if it is recent enough. Okay, so now it is, if it is not available, then execute the index.php. so if it is available, then it is easy, just you have to retrieve from the secondary storage device disk and you can send back the request. Now it is not available, that index.php, like so the user it may not be executed, or the thing it can be deleted, then you have to execute the thing like index.php. so how we are going to execute the thing? So you have to interact with the database, like the corresponding code which is present in this database. You have to interact with the database in this web services. By using the different web services, you have to interact with the database. So from that database, you will going to generate the PHP code. Okay, so like here, whatever you have taken or whatever you have retrieved from the disk space or the disk cache, that here if it is not available, then you have to execute it, you have to generate it. How we are going to generate it here? By using or by interacting with the DBMS, like by interacting with the database which is connected to this corresponding PHP code, and by using the different web services. By using the different web services and this, by using the database, you have generated the code. So now the save markup index dot is in the cache. Now it is present to execute the thing. Then the markup it is sent back to requesting to the browser. Okay, so this is how we are going to execute by using the page output catching. Here there are two models for the page catching. So here there will be two different models are going to be studied in this page catching. One is the full page and another one is the partial page. So if it is a full page catching or it can be a partial page catching, only the specific part of the page are catched while other parts are dynamically generated. So if it is on a page, a full page, like complete page output is generated, or the partially page can be generated. So only the specific part of the page, not the complete part of the page, only the specific part of the page are cached. So for example, if we look into this here, if we want to get this data from this disk storage, only the specific part or half of the part which is present in the disk storage. So then while other parts are dynamically generated by the normal manner. So for example, here the information like whatever the index.php it is required here, half of the data which is present in the disk cache. Okay, so then it can be given back to the a web browser. So if the half of the thing again it is not available, so again you have to do the same thing, like you have to execute the thing, like you have to generate the php by interacting with the database and as well as the web service, and again in turn you have to send back into the browser. Okay, so this is the two different models or two different methods we are using in this full page caching and as well as the partial page caching. So one of the biggest drawback with the page output caching is that performance gain will only be had if the entire cache page is the same for the numerous requests. So we know that either it can be a full page caching or it can be a partial page caching. We can perform these two different operations here, but there will be a one disadvantage or there will be a one drawback if it is an off page caching. So what is that drawback? One of the main drawback with this page output caching is that it performance gain will only be had. So the performance whatever you are executed, that gaining of the performance will be had if the entire page is same. Like you should not apply the partial paging, like if the off of the data it is present in the secondary storage, then it can be sent back to the web server, and off of the data it has generated by using the database and the web services. If that thing has happened, if it is divided like thing, then it doesn't give you the complete performance. The performance gain will be less if in case of this page output. An alternate strategy is to use the application data caching, in which the page will programmatically place the commonly used collection of data, which will going to require the different query from the database. So for example, if you want to regenerate, so because of the data if it is not available in the secondary storage device, then you have to regenerate, you have to generate the data. How we are going to generate the data? You are going to require the time intensively from the database and as well as the web server. And then other pager that also need the same data, it can be cache version, and again it is retrieved from that original location. So like whatever the data you have regenerated by using the second approach, like it is a partially half cache, then the same data you may get or you may retrieve it from the original location. So if in case by the default installation of the php, if does not come with an application like by the catching ability, so like by default when you are executing, there is an catching ability concept will be decreased if there is no any catching ability concept by default. So then a widely available extension called memory cache, like mem cache is an extension which is used for this ability. Okay, so this is how we are going to use the memory cache. Okay, so this is the simple code how we are going to use the memory cache. So here we have written the simple php code. So first you have to create the connection to the memory cache. So first if you want to execute the cache, then you have to create a one memory connection. Okay, so how you are created the memory connection? So that you have to connect to the database. So once you have connected to the database, you have to make a network with the two different variables here we have taken. One is the dollar memory cache, it is to the keyword new has a keyword, and the name of the keyword we have taken as a memory cache. So first we have to check for the connection. Okay, so how we are going to checking the connection? So this local host, so this particular value which is connected, is it the value localhost, it is connected to the memory cache or not. So if it could not connect it to the memory cache, so for example now we are checking here whether the value corresponding to this local host, is it connected to the memory cache or not. So if it is not connected to the memory cache, again if that cached data exists, retrieve it. Okay, so already the cached data, already the information if it is exit, you can retrieve easily. Otherwise generate and catch it for the next time. So in the example, like whatever the diagram we have studied, if that cache is available, you can directly use it. If the cache is not available, then you have to regenerate it by using the different web services and as well as the database. So if you are regenerated and if you are used by using the database, then you can use it for the next time. How it is going to check the condition? Here we have taken the function isSet. isSet is a function. Here we have checking here either the memory cache, so it is already available in the system, or it is not available. We have to regenerate by using the different database. Here we have checking the condition is that the dollar memory cache. Okay, so what is the information in the memory cache we have checking? That is the dollar countries, like some of the country names. Okay, some of the country names here which is saved by the user. Okay, so these are the country name. Is set is that country name, it is available in the cache. Already the user has been used this top country name. Is it, I'm checking here whether those name it is available in the memory cache or not. If it is not, since every page display the list of top countries as link will catch the collection. If the thing it is not set it, like there is no availability which is present in the cache, then you have to regenerate it. So if it is done, like if it is available in the cache, next first get the collection from the database. So it is already available, then you know that you have to get it from the secondary storage device, right? So that is from the secondary storage database, like in the disk you have to get the information. How we are going to take on the information? The two different variables you have taken here. Collection of gate. Okay, so collection of information. So here new is the keyword we have taken, and name of the keyword is the country table gateway. So that is a country table gateway. We have checking the database adapter. So is that database it is connected to the country gateway or not? If these the countries which is connected to this country gate database, then you can store the data in the cache. So if the thing is available in the cache, then you can just take it, or you just to check it from the database which is already available. So then you can use it for the limited amount of time. Okay, so if the thing if it is available in the cache, it should not be lead for the more amount of time. It has the expiry date, so like limited amount of time. Within that expiry time only we have to retrieve the particular cache. Okay, so here if it is lost, like the given amount of time, if it is exceeding the given amount of time, then it will give you the message like failure to save the cache data at the server. So now the thing is like you are not able to save the failed cache. So now again you want to regenerate the cache by using the different database and as well as the web service. So if the thing is available in the cache, so you can directly access from the secondary storage device, that is the disk, and directly you can give it, or directly you can give it to the to display the thing. So what is the main we have to display the thing here? Display the country list, right? So that is the different country names here we have to display. Okay, so this is the simple code. So you just make a note of this PHP code. Don't take this comment line. So just to copy this keyword and as well as this condition. Is it completed? Yes, still you people are taking, or it is done?
Yeah,
Okay. This is how we are going to do the different two basic strategies, like first is the page output catching and the application data catching. Okay, so this is the important that, so you're going to ask you the question like explain how the page output catching will be explained in thing by using only the page output catching. Okay, so here just you have to keep in mind like, so how the different user has generated the file. So is that whatever the page which has user has been visited, is the thing it is available in the cache. So if it is already available in the cache, you are going to check the condition here. If is it the thing, is the condition is checking here, if it is true, then you can retrieve the markup. So directly you can retrieve the data from the secondary storage device. So if that secondary storage device, the data or the information is available, then you can directly take it and the information can get back into the storage. Okay, so if it is not available, then you have to execute the code. Okay, so how we are going to execute the code? By interacting with the database. Okay, so by interacting with the database and as well as the web services, you're going to generate the code. Okay, so this is how we are done by using the two different model. One is the full page catching and another one is the partial page catching. Only the difference between this full page catching and the partial page catching, so in case of this full page catching, so the entire data which is present in the secondary storage, it can be revealed or it can be passed into the web storage, like web server can be taken all these cache which is present in the full page. If it is in a partial page catching, so the half of the information which is available in the secondary storage device and half of the information which is not available in the secondary storage device. If it is not available in the secondary storage device, then you have to regenerate or you have to generate the thing. Okay, so how you are going to generate it is by taking the database and as well as the different web server. So this is the code like how we are going to connect the using by the different memory cache. So here just you have to go to check the two condition, is that top country name. Okay, so the user one, he has seen that top 10 country name which is available. Okay, so once he has seen, then again if the same user, if you want to see the same thing, he will going to check whether is the top country names it is available in the memory or not. Okay, so this is the code how you are written. And is set. Okay, so is set is a function we have taken. It is to check whether the country name it is already available in the memory cache or not. If the thing it is already available in the memory cache, then easily it can give into the web server. If it is not, again you have to restore. Now you have to store the data, you have to restore the data. Okay, so this is how the simple code how we are going to use by using the memory cache. One second. Okay, so the next concept is advanced JavaScript and as well as the jQuery. So just I will introduce this advanced JavaScript and as well as the jQuery. So and next we'll start it in the next class. Okay, so here what is that JavaScript pseudo classes? So in this document object model, so this JavaScript has no formal class mechanism. Okay, so this JavaScript it acts as a server side scripting language. It doesn't contains any normal mechanism and it does support the objects, like it only support to the document object model. So it is one of the object oriented language. Okay, so which will going to support the object and it also support the classes formally. So instead of you are using the different variety of the syntax. So look into this. Here an array is a JavaScript. Okay, so here we have taken the name, that is a variable name. What is the variable name we have taken here? That is the days of the week. It is the name of the variable. And what are the different values, or what are the different parameters we have passing here? Like it is the 0th position, it is present the Sunday, and the first position is the Monday, and second position is the Tuesday. These are the three different parameters we have passed into the variable name known as the days of the object. So here an object literals or a list of key value pair. What is the object literals? Here object literals are the list of key value pair. Okay, so the key is on the value, so with the colon between the key and as well as the value. So if you are taken, it is an a key and the value pair. It can be divided, it can be between the comma, so the comma will going to separate between the key and as well as the value pair. So the object literals are also known as the plain object. So if that object literal you have defined or you have initialized this object literal, so it is an a list of key value pair and it is separated by the comma. These object literals we are going to known it as an a plain object. So if you look into this example here, so here JavaScript, it has a formal mechanism, right? Here the simple variable. Okay, how we are going to define the simple variable? Here the car is the name of the variable we have taken. Okay, what is the type of, like some fight, it is a type of the car we have taken here. So here in this the value, like the parameters, it is differentiated by the comma. It is a key and the value pair. So in this key and as well as the value pair, it is separated by the colon, right here. And two different values, like two different key values, and also it can be separated by the comma. Here the different parameters, like the values, like the car, the what type of car it is? It is a fight. It is the value which is given to the type key, and model is the key here, and 500 is the value here. And again what type, like there's a key is in a color, and the value, like the value is equals to white. Okay, so this is how we are going to define the different mechanism, or these are the different object literals which is defined here. And coming to the property and as well as the method. So coming into the property, like what are the different properties it has? For example, if you consider the human being, as we are the human beings, we have the different properties. Like, so for example, if you are taken like the single user, he has his own mobile number, he has his own Aadhaar card number and own PAN card number. So like same as it is, if you are taken this car, it has its own name, right? And also it has its own model, like some model and name of the car, and also the weight. Okay, so these are the some of the different properties which is given to this car. Coming into the methods, like what is the methods here? So what is the different activities which is going to taken by the car? So car, it can, we can start the car, we can drive the car, or we can stop the car, or we can break the car. Okay, so these are the different methods. So if you take on this object oriented design, it has the different properties, it has the different properties, it has the different properties and as well as the methods. Okay, so methods like you can start the car, or you can